Hello and welcome to a new episode of the award-winning MVP The Master's Voice podcast from Mediabrief.com. I'm your host and friend Pavan Chawla, founder and editor of Mediabrief.com, and on this episode, I am delighted to welcome one of the finest and most diversely experienced specialists and corporate leaders across hospitality in India. The kind of hospitality that extends from the ground to the air too. Please join me in welcoming Manish Gupta, Chief Executive Officer of TajSATS Air Catering Limited, which is a joint venture between IHCL and SATS of Singapore. Manish, welcome to MVP The Master's Voice podcast from Mediabrief.com.
Thank you, Pavan. Very delighted, extremely delighted to be here today.
Thank you, Manish. You're very gracious and thank you very much for your time. It's a pleasure and a privilege for me to host and speak with you on our award-winning podcast series. And I'd also like to thank your excellent teammates at TajSATS, Ritika Sikand and Krish Gadia, for having made this interaction possible. So Manish, when you were announced as CEO of TajSATS, you had said, and I quote, "TajSATS is an integral part of the IHCL ecosystem. I'm really looking forward to this assignment and my endeavor will be to further strengthen our market leadership in the aviation business and unlock its potential in the non-aviation businesses as well." Well, we'll speak about that and very much more very shortly. But before we get on to the business end of our conversation, please allow me to introduce you to my listeners. My distinguished guest in this episode of MVP The Master's Voice podcast on Mediabrief.com is Manish Gupta, CEO of TajSATS Air Catering Limited. Manish is a consummate hotelier with more than 2 decades, in fact more than 26 years of experience across multiple roles and across various categories and sizes of hotels in India. His career with IHCL began when he moved to the iconic Taj Mahal Hotel, New Delhi as a restaurant manager. Manish quickly rose through the ranks to become general manager of different hotels, including the legendary Rambagh Palace. In Jaipur, Manish embarked upon an incredible journey as GM of Rambagh Palace, and he had the great opportunity to interact with true royalty and also met the Honorable Prime Minister of India and many high-ranking government officials, Hollywood stars, celebrities, including multiple business tycoons, and he gleaned enormous global exposure from travel, international travel too, to bring in the best developments and practices into his business. And after his tenure at Jaipur, in his tenure at Kolkata, Manish handled a small but diverse portfolio of hill stations and beach resorts, city hotels and international properties. Manish has played a pivotal role in increasing the business development opportunities and the growth of the organization and has helped close many new hotel deals. Having been a hotel GM or area head at various locations has made Manish an avid traveler and he's always been an innate people's person. So in sum, more than 26 years of vast, deep, broad and significant experience. And today, Manish Gupta leads a team of 4,000 employees at TajSATS as its CEO. And Manish is an alumnus of IIM Ahmedabad and Nanyang University, Singapore, and has completed a special general manager's program. An avid traveler, as I said, Manish enjoys reading and playing badminton every morning. So that's Manish Gupta, CEO of TajSATS Air Catering Limited, my distinguished guest on MVP, the Master's Voice podcast on Mediabrief.com. Manish, once again, welcome to the episode.
Thank you, Pavan. Thank you for such a detailed and, nice introduction. Thank you.
You're most welcome, Manish. And badminton in your spare time, that's the sport even the legendary Sunil Gavaskar still plays every day to keep so very fit, touchwood. Tough sport if you really put heart and sinew into it, Manish. It can really stretch and reward you, as I'm sure your current role leading TajSATS must be doing for you. And it's time to speak about that and much more as we begin our conversation. So Manish, tell our listeners about TajSATS. It's a market leader in airline catering with more than 42 years, I think even more, of being a leading player in commercial catering and driven by its commitment to, and I quote, enriching lives through innovative food solutions. Please go ahead.
Thank you again, Pavan, for the introduction. About TajSATS, yes, as you mentioned, we are actually the leading player in this field, having presence in 6 major destinations in India. As the name suggests, we are primarily an aviation catering company But of late, we have also been trying to diversify into various other fields. The endeavor is to contribute more into this fast-growing food solutions area, which we want to go in future.
And now, Manish, before we continue with details about your current role and TajSATS, I'd like you to share what must have been for you a transformational experience from being a luxury hotelier. I mean, the Rambagh Palace doesn't get better anywhere, not in India, not in the world. And so from, the transformational experience from being a luxury hotelier to a business leader of a complex, very rewarding, extremely high growth operation like yours. So how has your role changed and what helped you transition so evidently smoothly and very effectively to your new leadership avatar at TajSATS?
No, you're absolutely right. It's a very different role than what I was doing in the past. Hotel or hospitality business in the true sense, luxury hospitality, best of the hotels, best of the clients. The outlook there is very different.
Right.
It's all about meeting customers, having the customer interface right in front, doing everything immediately, doing your best, going all out to please your customers, doing whatever, never say no kind of an attitude.
Right.
So that's a very different perspective of running a different business. If I compare what I am doing right now, firstly, we are the service providers for an airline. We are into doing much more volumes. A lot of food we do. There's a different aspect of the food production cycle. And most importantly, the bigger thing is very different price points we operate here. So that's one part of it. And then secondly, leading a diversified thing, what we're trying to get into. So it's got its own challenges.
Right. How easy or difficult was the change during the peak of the pandemic when the business had totally collapsed? I mean, for everyone, planes were not flying and, your main source of revenue, income, business opportunities had completely sort of flatlined. And there was an atmosphere of uncertainty and anxiety all around. Employees, the business, the whole overview, the approach. How did you cope with that and make sure that once the planes were in the air like they are and may they always be, God willing, you would be ready to sort of spring back into, like on a smooth recoil and rebound and go smoothly, hit the decks running? What was that process like? What did you learn? What did Ted tell you on the personal and the professional space? Just give me a small little heart speak.
Yes, actually, it is very difficult to imagine. Nobody could plan what we all went through as a part of the pandemic during our lives.
Right.
So we all plan for business increases, enhancement. Nobody plans for a business ever to become a zero.
Absolutely.
This is exactly what happened to us. So there was a government order, and due to the COVID challenges that time in the first wave, there was a period of almost 2 months when the entire aircraft industry or the aviation industry was grounded.
Yes.
So we have seen a situation where literally we had absolutely no business.
Right. Yes.
So when I joined in the prime of the COVID time, it was in September 2020, and then we had to go with a mindset that how would we keep our kitchens running? How would we have our premises still people coming in, working there and utilizing the huge capacities which we deploy? So those were the challenges, and that also encouraged us, or we went into various other diversification mode to see how we can do things differently, how we could spot any opportunity in those challenges. So that's how a lot of these new initiatives we started. And the second part you asked about people. Now again, that's our biggest strength. I think that's the biggest strength for any organization.
Right.
But in our case, because we're a highly people-oriented industry, as you rightly mentioned, we employ 4,000 plus people. So that's the kind of workforce we always had.
Right.
And but in those challenging circumstances, let me tell you, the kind of commitment I saw from people, but they were not even allowed to step out of their houses to come to work. When we started our first initiative of serving meals to the doctors and the medical staff in hospitals and everywhere else, all those people risking their own lives and not only reporting to work, but managing to go out in the market and also supply and serve, which is beyond their work scope. That was something which was absolutely incredible.
truly inspirational, really. And I think the lineage of the parent group, its DNA, its commitment to service and being so utterly beautifully purpose driven and socially responsible is amazing. And these are not just words or jargon that a marketer will use, but I think they really are an intrinsic part of the DNA. Wonderful. You all walk the talk and you all are back. So now please cast a look, Manish, at the airline catering business in India. How is it growing and what is the share of TajSATS in this space?
The aviation industry, I think, is poised for phenomenal growth. As you must be following what the government of India is trying to do under the UDAN scheme. I think they've announced 100 new airports to be launched or opened in the next 3 years.
Wow.
What I'm also told is that as per the recent estimates, is only 5% of the Indian population which actually flies or travels through air. Imagine what would happen if this number of Indian population, if this number becomes 15 or 18 or 20%.
Amazing. Huge. So a massive business footprint opportunity also for you to expand your services and offer them to flyers and airlines across. Lovely. And what is TajSATS' share in this space? You're a market leader, but...
So I will not give a number, but see, it's a very different way of looking at it because in some cities we are present and in some cities we are not. But having the presence in the 6 major destinations and covering all metro cities,
right,
we have a considerable stake, and as you said, as being a leading player. So besides Delhi, Mumbai, the other aviation hub in India is Bangalore, Calcutta, Chennai, and in terms of leisure, we also have one presence in Goa, and at this moment we are building a second kitchen in Goa at the new airport. So very soon we'll be operating with 7 or maybe 8 kitchens.
Oh, excellent. So you're growing and you're set to grow. And with the UDAN scheme, the whole space is just waiting. Nice. Right, Manish, give me the idiot's guide to TajSATS. What are the USPs? What are the wonderful verticals? And how are you empowering the entire space of hospitality on air and maybe on ground, with corporate catering and everything else? Tell me about the verticals on TajSATS. The biggest one, of course, is airline catering. What are the other services that you have? And then we'll go on to the airline industry, the sector, and how TajSATS has grown.
At this moment, our 80% of our business is aviation catering. But what we also do is institutional catering. That means under this we serve a lot of cafeterias and a lot of meals we do at various offices in primarily in Mumbai and Delhi NCR areas. But we also have another vertical here is called QSR, which is quick service restaurants. So there also we have a very big presence where you would not know, but we supply a lot of food items like the morning bakeries, sandwiches, a lot of sauces, a lot of other items like that to various quick service restaurants where pan India. This is something which we do at a very large scale. And so this is the second aspect of the non-aviation business. The third vertical for us is the home delivery business, which we are doing as part of IHCL's home delivery app called Cumin. So all the cities where TajSATS is present, in the geographies where we are located near the airports, all the food we serve in the vicinity of 13, 14, 15 kilometers under the Cumin brand, we do home deliveries. And besides that, we also do a considerable amount of gifting. For example, we also had launched our own chocolate brand called Asa. We also have recently launched our Indian sweets brand called Ishri. And we also do a lot of gifting, hamper boxes, gift boxes for various corporates. But having said that, this particular thing, we are not, as I said, we are recently started. So we are not present in retail spaces. We try to be present for more from institutional gifting and institutional presence what we have right now. But we are present. You can order us through the Cumin app, as I mentioned.
Excellent. And the festive season is coming. Gifting is going to go up. And a lot of corporates are actually becoming far more conscientious about, looking after their employees and providing them better and nutritious and hygienically produced and transported meals. So yeah, the sky's the limit actually for you. And with the lineage and the quality that you at TajSATS are renowned for, it should literally be a seller's market. Wonderful. So those are the verticals. And lovely, Manish. How do you market TajSATS? Who are your most important target groups? What is the strategy for your marketing there? How do you reach out to your customers, whether they are B2B or B2C?
See, as far as our strategy is concerned, we want to grow in the overall food solution space. So as I had mentioned earlier, we have almost 80% of our business coming in through the aviation catering part. In the next few years, we want that pie of the non-aviation business to grow as well. So we want in future probably this number to become maybe 70 or 72%. So in the next few years, if we are able to increase that or achieve something like this, I think it will be incredible. As far as marketing or messaging is concerned, I think the approach is that since we are not a B2C customer, we are not directly doing in only in a few verticals where we are doing things. But we, in terms of airline things together, we do a joint partnership with all our partners, whether it is Vistara or whether it is Air India or anybody else. So we do joint food promotions or joint exercises. As far as the other verticals are concerned, we are present in all social media platforms. We try and engage with the customers directly in the best way possible.
Lovely. And nowadays, everybody wants a shortcut. It's not just customer awareness, but customer acquisition in the same communication. So yeah, everybody's in a hurry to take off. What are the important challenges, Manish, that you face in terms of quality, hygiene and food safety? Now, I'm not saying that you face challenges at TajSATS on these three very crucial grounds because they are the strengths of your company. But, there is always something or the other. But that is possible, on these grounds of quality, hygiene and food safety. How different are your processes from the other food industries? I remember, there was one of the most demanding and hawk-eyed airport managers decades ago in Mumbai, Mr. Rapior or Lufthansa, who would go to the flight services company and throw himself on the floor, face pressed against it, peering beneath trowels and doors, running his finger on the metallic bottom to see there was even the tiniest layer of dust there. So I'm sure you have the same commitment and, fetish for hygiene. But tell us the challenges in quality, hygiene and food safety in your industry and if any at your workplace, and how do you keep it spotless, shining, hygienic and protected to serve your customers?
So very, very good question, Pavan. Food hygiene is, or rather the food quality totally is the biggest challenge for us to have all the time. Right. Aviation industry particularly simply because our food production cycle is very different. So this is different than in a restaurant you go, somebody cooks it and he serves it straight to you.
Right.
In the aviation catering industry, that's not the case. So what we follow is a different food production cycle and a food service cycle. So we call it a cook-chill method. So what we do in the aviation business is we cook the food and then we chill it.
Immediately.
We chill it immediately as per the various quality specifications.
Okay.
Depending on the kind of food it is, depending on the time required and depending on the kind of airline and the location, etc. So what we do is we cook and chill and then we transfer the food into various aircrafts as per the schedule or demand of the airline. Now these airlines then again as per the temperature of the food, either they put it in their ovens to heat it or they put it in the chillers to continue getting chilled if the items are supposed to be served cold. So this is a very challenging cycle for us to make sure that this cycle is never broken, as there's never deviation of any kind there. So all those things you mentioned about this gentleman and everything is something which It sounds a little outrageous, but actually speaking, yes, we have to make sure all these processes are followed all the time to the T.
Absolutely. And also having the technology and the platforms with fail-safes to make sure that the chilling systems are always in. There's a backup that kicks in instantly and there is no break, like you said, in the chain. Very important, absolutely. So engineering and your maintenance guys and the kitchen stewarding guys must have really their hands full. Absolutely. Along with the food production people. Let's come to technology, which I just mentioned, is playing a key part, a major part in every business today. How are you bringing in technology, automation or AI in your business? How relevant? I know it's a stupid question to ask you actually. It is very relevant. But tell me, how relevant is this in your industry?
No, technology is something which is coming and being adopted in any business today in a very big manner, large manner.
Right.
So we are no exception. Yeah. There are cost challenges. There are challenges of hygiene and food safety. There are challenges of you should be able to predict very, very tightly to make sure there are no wastages. So technology plays a very, very key role. So we are adopting various softwares. We are getting into various cameras, various communication things to make sure that we eliminate all kind of wastages. So for that, it is important that we are able to, so like the AI or the artificial intelligence you mentioned. So now we're working on getting softwares to see that how we can predict the demand of food on weekdays, weekends to holidays, and what time of the day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks period, various other things. So this is something, and also to predict accordingly that what kind of procurement, raw materials and everything we would be having. But not only that, we also analyze the various feedbacks we get.
Okay.
For that also, there is a very different AI app which we'll be getting into, where we will get absolutely 100% accurate feedback, what the customers are liking, what they are not liking, and how we can improve their experience going forward.
Are you tired of working a job you hate? I'm Mark Savant, host of the After Hours Entrepreneur Podcast, and I know that feeling. I used to wake up every morning dreading the day, and after years of effort, I was able to leave my job and do something that I love. You can too. The After Hours Entrepreneur Podcast is your guide to building profitable six-figure years. I'm sharing the lessons that I wish I knew and bringing on experts like Pat Flynn, Jasmine Starr, and more. Click the link. You don't need to dread Mondays anymore. Take action and build a life you love.
Lovely. Let's talk about something that is, I mentioned earlier also, I think it's hardwired, let me say soft-wired, because it comes from a soft part of the human heart, CSR and sustainability, into the Taj and the Tata parent group's DNA. Sustainability is one of the most talked about initiatives from the aviation industry, and the one that's in focus is trying to reduce the carbon footprint. And your lineage from the illustrious and most committed to society, environment, ecology, ESG and CSR, the Tata Group, must truly empower and enable you in this space. So how have you, Manish, and your team used that power and advantage and leveraged it? How does TajSATS contribute or tries to contribute to reducing the carbon footprint as a partner of multiple airlines?
See, the airline industry is not known to be very carbon footprint friendly, if I may say so.
Right.
The reason is that the airlines are supposedly burning the maximum fuel, and that means that you're also increasing the temperature as you discharge the gases, etc. Now we have a limited but very, very important role in this, because how we can partner and help the airlines to burn this fuel, and how we can do that is by controlling our weight, what we carry onto the aircraft to serve food. So what we are getting into is a lot of different experiments we are doing and different changes we are doing in terms of food packaging. So what is happening is that the food packaging is getting lighter, we're getting into biodegradable, or at least we're getting into something which is environment friendly, which can be recycled. If not biodegradable completely, at least it can be recycled. And also eliminating complete food wastages which we get. So since we are the largest producer, we produce tons of food. And because of that, even if you are able to manage these wastages well, I think will be a big contribution on our part into this.
Excellent. That's a really good thought. Lovely. You told me how TajSATS diversified into non-aviation kind of hospitality areas through verticals that are on the ground and going to corporates and home delivery and B2C customers. So tell me, what are your future plans and how do you plan to grow these into larger, more sustainable verticals that will complement the excellence and the wonderful profitability and delivery of your main core aviation business?
So what we did was that in the last 2 years, we've launched a different brand called Anuka. So it's this new brand which we have launched, which would be the front end for our cafes and food outlets.
Okay.
So what we are getting into is under the brand Anuka. So we have already opened a few outlets in various places, in some hospitals. We were tied up with Tata Memorial Hospital, both in Mumbai as well as in Calcutta.
Okay.
We are also doing a lot of institutional caterings under this name now, and the endeavor is to have at least about 40 or 50 of these outlets going forward. So we are not in a rush to do all these things.
Okay.
But we want to do it in a very objective manner so that the primary business of ours is not affected. Right. At the same time, we grow our non-aviation field under the Anuka brand and all the other ancillary businesses I mentioned about earlier.
Wonderful. Great plan. And the ability and the infrastructure, the talent, everything that you have, you can actually roll beautifully produced, well thought out products and services virtually at the press of a button. I know I'm making it sound much easier than it is, but you and your team definitely have, and more than have, the capability to do that. So more strength to you. Manish, with the big entry of the Tata Group into the aviation domain with the acquisition of Air India, how do you envision the scenario changing from TajSATS perspective? How do you see more synergies brought together, and how does it benefit the common customer?
I think this is the best thing which could ever happen to the aviation industry in India, the acquisition of Air India by the Tata Group. So we are also very delighted to be a part of this transformation journey and bringing the Maharaja back to its old glory. That's how we are looking at this whole transformation exercise.
Right.
So we are working with the Air India team to provide the best of the meal experiences on all kind of flights, whether it is international long-haul flights or whether it is domestic flights, and whether we are serving only a small snack or whether we are serving a 5-course meal on a business class international flight. So the endeavor is to, as I said, bring back Maharaja to its own glory again. And I think the ultimate beneficiary of all this would be the end customer.
Absolutely. And also the profile and the respect of India abroad amongst not only the entire diaspora globally, but also everybody else, because the Maharaja is a truly iconic figure. And honestly, I think as I see it, when I heard about the Tata Group acquiring Air India, it was like it adopted the Maharaja out of a beautiful sense of purpose and perhaps even gratitude and duty to the Indian nation. Kudos to the Tata Group. Okay, Manish, I've had a wonderful conversation so far, and I have now arrived at my last question for this chat. Hospitality is a very demanding career, both physically and mentally. And I've read about you expressing your belief, your important belief that one must be fit and agile to succeed in professional life. How do you do it amidst a challenging schedule? Are there any ways you would advise others to be motivated to achieve excellence in their career also? So there are two parts to the question.
Well, I very strongly believe that to grow professionally, one needs to be very, very fully physically and mentally fit.
Right.
So I think I understood this, or I realized this much earlier in my career. And I think that has played a very crucial part in my journey so far professionally.
Right.
So what I feel very strongly is that one should engage physically in, if you can, play a sport, which I picked up about 12-13 years back. So either we play a sport, we must spend time with our friends and family, and we must find time to engage in at least one hobby, whatever we wanted to do or whatever we missed in the early stages of our career.
Right.
So I think the India growth story is here to stay. Professionally, I think there'll be enough and more opportunity for all of us to grow. Every professional in every field in this country will grow. However, the only thing which will make the difference would be that how physically fit one individual or a professional is. I think that is the something which is going to be a differentiator going forward. And if you are able to take care of that part, I don't think that there'll be anybody would be losing out, and I think everybody will be gaining in the long run.
Excellent advice. Okay, add another piece of advice that you would want to share with young professionals who have got their degrees, graduate degrees in hotel management or, BScs and in hotel catering, etc. And what is your advice to them? See, there were some who got in during the lockdown, so they really were deprived of practicals and a lot of other things that might have helped them a little more. But as somebody who is able to give employment and able to give really important advice to such youngsters, what is your advice to those who are graduating, who graduated during COVID, and to everybody else in terms of how to get and build a good career? What is important?
As I said earlier, both the hospitality as well as aviation businesses are due for massive growth in this country. So there is no doubt whatsoever in realizing that the demand for these people or these youngsters who are professionals who are passing out from the colleges or who've recently passed out from the colleges would be tremendous.
Right.
Now, the only thing what I think the youngsters should be doing is to concentrate that they make some start. I realize that, some of them, and I sometimes get calls also like that some of them passed out during the critical COVID phase and they could not be placed. But they should not lose heart and keep trying. I think it's a matter of time that the industry comes back. I think most of us are already back to the pre-COVID levels. And whatever little is left, I think would be soon. By the end of this year, even the international travel and everything should also be back to the same numbers.
Right.
So the demand, the job opportunities, the opportunities to grow would be tremendous coming their way. So they should put their head down, make sure they make a start. They should make sure that they should try and learn. If they had missed out on their opportunities during the training part, maybe because of COVID or because of any other reasons or any personal issues, they should try and make up for it as much as possible. So the initial years, the initial learning is something which never comes back. So that lost time, but I think there is still time, opportunity for people to make up for that lost time. And I think then after that, sky is the limit.
Excellent. I'm sure that must enthuse everyone, no end, these youngsters, and more strength to them. Is there anything else, Manish, you'd like me to have asked you, something more you'd like to share?
No, thank you so much, Pavan, for your time. I think the kind of questions you've asked and the messaging I could provide to all these youngsters and everybody else to make them understand about our business. Not many people really know about the aviation catering business. So I'm really delighted to share some part of it, and hopefully it will help them know our business a little better.
Thank you very much. You're very kind, Manish. And not only them, in fact, I enjoyed my conversation with you, and I hope and I'm sure it will give many insights and much inspiration to everyone listening in. Professionals, regardless of whichever sector, subsector, vertical or function they are in. And
Pavan, I must add before I leave, I think the great job with Mediabrief.com and the Master's Voice podcast you're doing. These kind of initiatives actually in this social media world help the professionals like us connect with everybody And I think it really helps the budding youngsters to understand the field a little better. So thank you so much for doing this for us.
Thank you, Manish. You're very kind, very gracious. Thanks for your kind words and for being on the show. And thanks once again to your excellent teammates Ritika Sikand and Krish Garia for having enabled this interaction. You do great work, Manish. More strength to you.
Thank you, Pavan. Thank you so much.
Stellar hospitality industry expert, professional and corporate leader, Manish Gupta, CEO of TajSATS Airline Catering Limited, a joint venture of the illustrious Indian Hotels Company Limited and SATS, was my distinguished guest on this episode of MVP The Master's Voice podcast on Mediabrief.com. Manish made our conversation extremely insightful for me, and I hope you, dear listener, feel the same. Till we meet again in the next episode of MVP The Master's Voice podcast series on Mediabrief.com, this is your host and friend Pavan Chawla saying, take care, stay safe, bye-bye.
Squarely